Can you remember two games with such contrasting entertainment value 3 days apart? I mean, if Thursday was unexciting, Sunday was electrifying at times, and we needed it heading into the international break. And presented by a company that specializes in electrifying 24/7 services, let's review Villa 4, Bournemouth 0. Welcome inside a jubilant parlor. I just love positive momentum and encouraging trends. Like, for example, that's 3 games in a row now at Villa Park where we haven't conceded in all competitions, along with Brentford, Arsenal, and Bournemouth. Aston Villa with the best home record in the Premier League through 11 rounds, 13 points. And there has been this pent-up urge to see Villa rampage at VP. Well, that itch was scratched on Sunday.
Bournemouth are really good. They lost 4 defenders and a goalkeeper in the summer to transfers. We were moaning about our window. Yeah. They're amazing. So it's going to be awfully close. Probably the first goal decides it. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa, I think.
While Samir was roving around Villa Park with the speaker's corner mic, Alex Dutton, guitarist with a Tarka, was gathering B-roll for us. And if you take my key numbers and look just at these stats without knowing the score, you'd probably be surprised to hear the outcome. Now, I found this very interesting. In the entire Premier League, only Burnley have a lower cumulative expected goals metric than Villa, which confirms a really interesting trend for this season, which is actually one of the big issues from Sunday, but it's a positive one for me. Now, astonishingly, in just the first 45 minutes, these two teams had 9 categories that were dead even statistically, and these aren't even obscure stats either. I've never seen this before in one half where the categories were dead even like this, even though Villa had a 2-goal lead. And actually, they would have had 10 stats that were the same, except Villa had a foul taken away during halftime, as stats do sometimes adjust. But when you think about it, XG, passing percentage, this is incredible. 6 changes from Thursday. What a difference having Emi Buendia back. He was such a spark plug again on Sunday. And the ratings are always going to be way higher after a game like that. And when Konza is one of the lower rated players, it's not entirely him being poor. It's that the others were extremely good, and defenders in that game for Villa weren't called into as much action. What's quite remarkable to me, though, is that Villa is gathering steam without goals from Rodgers and Watkins at the moment, and that's not to say they aren't contributing, because they are. Rodgers got a crucial assist in this game, Watkins a willing runner and hold-up man. But what happens when those two do start scoring more frequently? Big Morgs has completed a hat trick of recent contract renewals, his being the most lucrative, if you believe rumors, rivaling Emi Martinez's $150K per week. Obviously, Boubacar Kamara would be at or above that level. And we all know it's not been the start to the season that Rodgers would have hoped, or any of us for that matter. But this kind of endorsement and financial commitment cannot hurt. He'll be fine. And he has another England camp ahead of him to help him find some consistency and form.
We need the 3 points very badly, because if you look at the table, there was a lot of teams around us.
Turn up today and we've got that winning attitude which we have more of this year. We'll be fine. I think 3-1 Villa today. Come on now, Villa boys. 3-1 Villa.
Pressing issue. I was bemoaning just the other day how Villa's front press didn't seem to yield a lot of goals from turnovers recently, at least not that I could remember offhand. That's just one type of press where you're trying to disrupt the build-up of your opponent. And Ollie Watkins is critical in that role because he's the one who determines where he wants the ball to go, and then his teammates behind him can attack from there. This game featured a different kind of pressing. It was happening everywhere, all over the park. And you know, Bournemouth has been very effective at going direct sometimes, then winning a duel and a knockdown and a second ball or a recovery, and off they go. And in a way, Aston Villa kind of beat them at their own game, especially in that first half and especially in the middle part of the park. It's the kind of game that seems to suit us very well, which is odd. Like, why are we able to master a Bournemouth over the last several years, but we still can't figure out Crystal Palace? Significant issue, the early game collision between Tyler Adams and Adam Smith, and we never got a replay, which leads me to believe it was gruesome to watch, not just the collision, but the landing. And Smith had to come out. He was bleeding. I'm shocked Tyler Adams carried on. You know, it's not the first blow that could be the most damaging. It's if you get another one in quick succession. I mean, it can be career-ending. So there you are, you're the visiting team. You're not even 2 minutes into the game, and now you're having to make a change. Not only was it disruptive, but obviously unsettling as well.
Hi, my name's Phil. I'm from York, and you're watching the Holy Trinity Show. Up the Villa.
Big issue number 3, dead ball devastation. I mean, just from that game, we are +3 on set pieces for and against. We're plus on the season now. And once again, it was little Emmy who played the hero because that's his second game-winning goal. I wondered on Thursday whether his late introduction was to test his pain tolerance for whatever had him in a walking boot, probably a bad contusion. There were no issues, clearly, because he was pivotal for us again. Talk about the fine lines in football. Kamara commits a foul just outside the box at one end, and Marcus Tavernier decides to go for power and then skies it over. And then moments later, Buendia is cynically chopped down at the edge of the Bournemouth box, but he makes the most of it with this technique of his. He's like knuckleballing it almost, where the ball goes up and down really quickly. We saw virtually the same technique in preseason against Roma from a similar range, and I'm just wondering how you defend this. Because the wall is supposed to take the near post. Yes, they can jump, but if that ball clears it, the goalkeeper can't stand behind the wall. He's supposed to cover the back post, and if he does move in, well, then you're inviting the shot there. You know it's a good free kick when the goalkeeper is completely statuesque. Less than an hour later, and Villa were awarded a corner. And coming into this game, you would have thought it would be Bournemouth that would be deadly from set pieces, given as they've been very successful from corners, free kicks, and long throws of late. But Luca Dean plays an inch-perfect ball to the suddenly rejuvenated Ross Barkley, who applied just enough hair product to flick it into the far corner, and any concerns or doubts over a Cherries comeback were extinguished. And then the cherry on top was another perfectly executed short corner played in by Jadon Sancho, I think intended for Yuri Tielemans back in his first Premier League game after 2 months to hit a long bomb. Instead, though, the Don decided he was going to provide a cheeky little back heel that, you know, he was rehearsing all week long, and it came off. I celebrated Sunday's win by doing what I love the most, cooking roast dinner. I might be more English than most English people, because I love Yorkshire puddings, especially in duck fat. But my kitchen is crap, and original 1967. If 24/7 services got in there, everything would make sense. The dishwasher would be next to the sink. The fridge wouldn't stick out. There'd be more storage. This is a recent kitchen reno in Birmingham involving all sorts of trades: plumbing, electrical, and then depending on the stove, gas fitting. And that's before all the finishing work, the fun stuff, the flooring, backsplash tile, countertops, paint, lighting. All of those trades, 24/7 Services has specialists for. Once they're done in your kitchen, you'll be in there all the time cooking your Sunday roast dinners. And of course, a renovated kitchen increases the property value of your entire home. Give them a call, get a fair quote, and when 24/7 Services is through, I can't wait to show off your new kitchen on this show.
Hello, it's Rupert from Shropshire, watching the Holy Trinity Show. Up the Villa!
Big issue number 2, long distance dialing. You know, kids, before there was WhatsApp, we used to actually have to use one of these if we wanted to call countries overseas to wish our relatives a happy birthday or Merry Christmas. So it's a weird thing that Aston Villa is bottom 2 in the Premier League along with Burnley in expected goals. Now, so I can explain to you and Martin O'Neill why that matters or the whole purpose behind this metric, it's quite simple. It's just about getting into the highest goal-scoring areas in the box, and then whether you convert them or not. So if you're really close to goal, like right on the doorstep, that's the highest value. And then those numbers recede as you get to the penalty spot and farther out. Just little imaginary zones in the box that have a value attached. And Ollie Watkins had a very good chance of scoring from one of those close-in areas, and everybody kind of forgot about that because Onana scored shortly thereafter. Villa's low cumulative XG on the season simply means we're not scoring goals from those high expected goal areas of the box. I mean, is that bad? Well, not if you're winning. And by the way, if you score 4 goals and your XG is 1.7 like it was on Sunday, well, that means you're outperforming your expected goals. What Villa is doing, though, is scoring a lot of goals from just outside the box in that 18 to 28 yard window, which is a higher degree of difficulty. 7 of our 13 league goals have come from that range. And there were 2 more on Sunday, starting with Buendia's free kick. Then Morgan Rogers goes for a run, cheeky nutmeg, before laying it on a platter for Amadou Onana to scorch home from distance. The goalkeeper must have been unsighted. He was so far behind it. My question is, are these efforts from distance intentional? Like, has this been a focus? Or are they just situational, circumstantial? Because 7 out of 13 seems like a lot. And last year we did get quite a few, thanks in part to John Duran, but I'd be curious to know the difference between this year to last and the percentage of goals that were scored from outside the 18. Again, all this means is that Villa's scoring goals with a higher degree of difficulty. Does that help you against teams which bunker? Maybe. Is it possible that opponents will figure you out knowing that this is a tendency and they'll adapt? Perhaps. Is it possible that by drawing them out to the edge of the box, that opens up opportunities in behind? Well, only time will tell. Slightly under the radar issue that has implications for the club on a wider scale, but the West Midlands Combined Authority has apparently earmarked $25 million towards the upgrade of both Aston and Whitton stations, which is part of a bigger fund that's earmarked for the West Midlands and future infrastructure growth. Now, I've always said that it's great to expand a ground and have more amenities and have more events, but not if you can't get people there more comfortably.
My son is disabled. He loves the Villa, but he loves travelling with the Villa more than anything else. It actually keeps my son really, really happy, makes his days that much more valuable.
And the number one big issue that defined Villa 4, Bournemouth 0, magnificent Martinez. During the Maccabi show, I spoke at great length about the decision to start Dibu Martinez, given that Marco Bizot started in 2 Europa League games and didn't concede in either, and of course, Emi Martinez was coming off that Liverpool game. Was it loyalty? Was it trust? Was it Unai Emery's tendency to keep a consistent lineup? Doesn't matter. He made 2 very big interventions on Thursday and 2 enormous saves on Sunday, and I'm sure there were a lot of social media warriors feeling a little bit guilty about the abuse they sent Emi's way after Liverpool, because one of those saves on Sunday was clearly the turning point of the match, and the other save might have been the more difficult and certainly more spectacular. I'm talking about the one he claws out from under the crossbar after a deflected shot. When Emi Martinez is at his absolute best, he doesn't give up on anything. And this is where his 6'3" frame and his long wingspan comes in handy, because this shot was both over and behind him. And somehow he gets up there to push it over the crossbar 10 minutes into the second half. So that is a complexion-changing save. Not long after, and Bournemouth finally does get something from a corner, not a goal, but maybe the next best thing, a penalty, as Morgan Rogers just kind of got turned around, and up steps Antoine Semenyo, who, again, was very quiet, I felt, in this fixture. And sometimes you get a feeling. I had a feeling just prior to this, partially because of the intensity Emi Martinez was showing on his goal line. But then the Holt end offered up this crescendo of noise, almost like an anticipatory drum roll just prior to the drama unfolding. Denied. That's minute number 67 there, 3/4 of the way through the game. If it's 2-1 there, with Bournemouth already imposing themselves more in that game, as you knew they would, well, Villa Park would have become very twitchy. And yes, we may have just hung on anyway or extended the lead, but it would have been unnecessarily stressful. Sometimes it's not that your goalkeeper makes the save, it's when he makes that save.
It's basically similar to what's happening now in the Caribbean. Obviously, a part of the country that's been hit very hard. Back 4 months ago, it was the Punjab. Similar to a lot of our friends now here. They've got ancestors and family and friends who are originally from that northern part of India. We raised 20,000. Our main goal was it has to go to the people on the front line, and we need to see evidence. that one for me then?
Go for it, fella.
Enjoy. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Nice work, Jag and the Punjabi villains. I can't wait for my special samosa delivery from Samir. I'm always a little bit wary of trying to predict phases within a campaign because you'll recall Opta, the data analytics company, had forecast or at least analyzed that Aston Villa had the easiest first 5 games of any team in the Premier League. Look how that turned out. And man, imagine if we had taken advantage of that easy schedule. And there's an argument to be made that we've just come out of one of the most difficult phases in our campaign. Now, these are the next 5 fixtures, and as you know, we've had some very good recent history at the Amex, and we always seem to play Arsenal hard at Villa Park, along with the impending festive frivolity that is imminent. We might have a couple of good weeks ahead of us here. The first of those tests is at Leeds United, where last time out it was a very uninspiring 0-0 draw under Steven Gerrard. Before that, Callum Chambers was among the scorers in a 3-0 Villa win. And the thing about the damned United is that they've been actually quite decent at Elland Road so far this season, but the overall form has dipped and they are now sliding down the table. And that plays on everybody's psyche, including the players on the field, the fans in the stands, and the decision makers, which includes the new owners. And sometimes during international breaks, it's a great time to have a closed-door strategic planning session. And when you see other clubs making managerial changes like Wolves, for example, well, let's just say I think Daniel Farke is on thin ice. I was watching Manchester City Liverpool after our game and watching Villa climb the table with every goal Liverpool conceded, and I'm not one to count my chickens, but it's an easy 15 out of the next 15 points for Villa. And we're now heading into the international decorating window. Until the next news or leads on November 23rd, cheers. And obviously, up the mighty Villa!